Hi folks, and welcome to Busy Girl Likes to Eat. So I personally am a very busy girl. Not busy in like the traditional sense, like I don't like have kids or have a sick family member. I'm regular busy. I have a 9 to 5 job or 8 to 6. Who has time to cook all day, every day? Trouble is, I like to cook. I prefer a home-cooked meal. So what I need are new recipes that I can find on the internet that are kind of a departure from, the regular things I know how to cook that would be fun and adventurous, but also, make some sense. Problem is, sometimes I go to the internet and find recipes that are completely confounding, cannot actually be made in an apartment kitchen, are just here to confuse me. Like, they ask for things like a chiffonade basil. What is a chiffonade basil? Let me tell you what it is. It is basil strips. Just cut those dag things up. Why did they call it that? Anyway, those types of things that drive me crazy. What I want to do on Busy Girl Likes to Eat is, one, show you great ways that recipes on the internet can be a little bit short and shortcuts because you're a busy person like me, and also prove whether or not they can actually be made in an apartment kitchen, because we all know these recipes say, oh, it's going to be 30 to 45 minutes, and then it takes like 2 hours and you're eating at midnight. So we need to vet these things. That's what I'm going to do. I like to store all the recipes I find on an Evernote and just keep that Evernote on my tablet, because you see recipes on the internet, you completely forget about them, like if you save the link. So I just keep a bunch of recipes on my tablet because it's easy to carry around like in my kitchen. So today what we're gonna make is the big green cobbler from the blog My Name Is Yay. 3 leeks. Okay, so I told you, busy girl. I'm not buying like a whole thing of leeks that I gotta chop and blah, 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 blah. These ones are already trimmed. They're only 2, it's fine. A bunch of scallions. Can we pause here? Listen. You know what drives me absolutely insane? Recipes that say scallions. You know what a scallion is? It's a green onion. Is it regional? Is there some place in the United States where where green onions are called scallions everywhere and it's just different in my city and everywhere I've lived? No? Okay, anyway. Chicken broth, again, another thing gets on my nerves. How many recipes have you found that say 1 cup or a ½ cup of chicken broth, and yet you have to buy it in a freaking pint? This happens to be a pint in 1 ounce. It's maddening, drives me crazy. 2 cups of packed spinach. Again, busy girl way, I'm not gonna leave the spinach. They already put it in the bag for me. That's how we're living. Let's see, a cup of shredded Gruyere. Okay, this might not seem like a busy thing to do because I have the whole thing. Trouble is, where was the last time you saw shredded Gruyere in a grocery store? If I had that, let me tell you, that's what I would have, but we're gonna shred. And then there's a ½ cup of dried split peas. I don't like peas, can't stand them. So we're gonna use corn. That way it's not just a green cobbler, it's colorful, it'll be fun. And there's also some biscuits in this recipe. Okay, let's see. So it says 1.25 cups of flour and then ½ cup of whole wheat flour. No, I'm not buying, look, I'm not buying extra flour. All flour comes in this size. It's not like I get a whole wheat flour in this size, so we're not doing that. This says 14 tablespoons of butter. Something about that just feels incorrect. So you know what drives me crazy about regular cooking shows is what they do is they go like, here are the recipes, and they turn around like, here's everything magically chopped and it's perfect. Prep time isn't from when everything's prepared and then you pop it. No, prep time is for when I actually chop this zucchini and the rest of it. So let's start with 3 leeks chopped. So we already have our trimmed leeks. Yes. If you've seen like a leek, have you seen these things are like huge, enormous? Leeks tend to be super dirty, so excuse me for a second. Okay, so busy girl secret number 1, mandolin slicer. Let me tell you, freaking love this thing. Like, you know how much time you spend freaking chopping everything, whatever. Nah, you get this guy, you get one of these, you can get like, this is like seriously El Cheapo one. You can get like really fancy ones for like $100 that aren't made of plastic. Also, leeks, if you don't know, they're a member of the onion family, so they might play with your eyes a little bit. There is like a thing that, like guides it, but it's over there. Now we will pretend to be a real cooking show and like put all the ingredients in a bowl. There we go. Okay, so the only trouble with the mandolin is like sometimes for things like zucchini that like fly, you need to move it back to the edge so it doesn't all fly on the floor. This has happened to me before. We're gonna try not to make it happen today. We'll see what I can do. Don't worry, I cleaned these counters before we got started. Also, most food cooks at a temperature high enough to kill all the germs. Okay. Yeah, this is fine. This looks like a bunch. Yeah, looks like a bunch. Unfortunately, these I cannot put in my wonderful and fabulous, wonderful mandolin. I have to actually cut these, and we're gonna put these in this tiny guy. Cutting some onions, cause they're green onions. We're gonna use this much here. The recipe itself specifies whites separated from the greens. Racism. Does it mean not to include the white part of the onion, or does it mean just to... Here's what I would normally do, and what I plan to do as I started chopping these, was just to like throw this stuff away, because but I'm gonna at least chop off the part I don't need, like the little fuzzy butt. So let's get rid of the fuzzy butt, and in the interest of not getting tripped up later when I read the rest of this recipe, probably didn't clarify this earlier. I haven't read the steps of the recipe, so we really are doing this together. Oof, okay, tip my eyes. All right, so this is like demerit number 1 for this recipe, of like, you know, not telling me what in the world I'm supposed to do with that stuff. And now maybe that makes sense to you. Good for you. But anyway, whew, okay, eyes. There is a thing I saw online of like how to like diminish the sting of onions. Gosh, I wish I wrote it down. Okay, let's see. 1 medium-sized clove of garlic equals 1 to 1.5 teaspoons of minced garlic. Okay, you can judge me if you want to. Yes, I could probably buy a garlic mincer, but now mind you, if a recipe said like sliced garlic or like just a whole garlic clove, I would use a proper garlic clove. The Gruyere. I love that word, Gruyere. I'm not even pronouncing it correctly, which is sad because it took 5 years of French. The grocery store will sell you freaking chopped, like, or rather not chopped, but like shredded mozzarella. We've come so far as a nation. And I just wish we would get there with Gruyere. So more people eat Gruyere. Gruyere. Gruyere? Whatever it is. So that we can also get this chopped too. So what I often do is I'll make like a big batch meal, something that's for 6. It's really like meant for me, meant for, you know, busy girl party of 1, because I can have this for dinner tonight. I believe in leftovers. Leftovers are awesome. Leftovers are the best. And I can, oops, this is coming apart. All right, and then what I can do is just like remake this throughout the week. I mean, not like every day of the week, I'm not that boring, but like I can make a little bit of it. I can like, you know, put some chicken strips with it. I can do, you know, something else with it throughout the week. And that way it makes sure that I still get like a home cooked meal without having to make something every day of the week. So what I normally do when I have like extra chicken broth left over from a recipe is I will freeze chicken broth, just throw it in the freezer, and then when I need it, like defrost it, and then I get less angry. Though I really just wish the grocery store would cater to my needs. Damn it. It's not quite a cup and a half. So we have to open this anyway. And I'll have to freeze it anyway and find space for it to go in my freezer. One day we'll talk about how I think the grocery stores in America discriminate against single people. They do. All right, let's see. And this is just rude. These two aren't the same color. Probably because they're different brands. Ah, well, it's fine. You know what also makes this thing maddening? How in the world, if I don't use all of it, this is just what opened in my fridge? How does this not get knocked over? Okay, so let's say it would close like this, and like, there's not like a tab for it to go into? There's not a big chicken broth. Like, whoever is responsible for big chicken broth, stop this. This is maddening. I'm not gonna do peas. Yeah, frozen corn. I'm using frozen corn, because why not? Said frozen corn is kind enough for me to go to already have its own package that goes back in the freezer. Thank you, frozen corn. This is why people don't cook, because of just time. This says it's 6 ounces of spinach. Like, it's only like this much zucchini. It's 6 ounces by weight. It doesn't, see, haha. This thing says cups. Everybody knows dry ingredients should be like measured by ounces. This is fine. So we're just waiting for the butter to melt, and I'm giving myself something to do while the butter gets melty. It's taking some time, See, this is the prep card they count. They count this is the prep time. They don't count the rest of it. It also says here to preheat the oven to 425 as like the first step. I'm gonna wait to do that because in every experience I've ever had with the recipe, it tells it to preheat it. My oven's on for like a full on 30 minutes before it actually needs to go in there. So I'm gonna wait until I think we're closer to getting anything in the stove. Or maybe I'm just a person who moves slow with this part and the other people are like super awesome and they can move through this in 5 minutes. Who knows? Who cares? So this is a vegetarian meal. I am not a vegetarian. I like vegetables, but I like vegetables most that has cheese and biscuits because vegetables are best when they have other yumminess. So the thing about electric stoves is that like everything is just cooks faster. And so you'll see something that, so anytime it's like 7 to 10 minutes, like I always like check down to like the lower period of time just because it's faster. Since I'm gonna try not to burn anything while trying to do this, I'm just gonna read ahead a little bit to see, one, is there anything else I can do and what is coming? Add the whites of the scallions. Yes! Yes! Remember when we did this? Remember when we separated this and I didn't know if we should or we shouldn't? I should have. We're gonna add the scallions. I'm very excited about this. Add the flour. Oh, we're gonna make like a little roux thing maybe, huh? This looks pretty thick to me. They didn't indicate, so. This looks pretty thick, so we'll add the rest of the broth. The last time it took about 1.5 minutes or something for it to thicken. So next we're gonna add the cream and the spinach. Cook until spinach has wilted. Add a handful of the scallions. Am I gonna use the scallions later? Like I don't understand. Then why did they're all going in there. They're all going in there. So annoying. Let's see, actually I think we're kind of wilty. And we're starting to smell good. I mean, if they should go in, more of them should go in later. Whatever, it's all gonna end up in the same thing. Who cares? All right, so we got the green onions, down with scallions. I know it might be a silly thing to be mad about, but I'm mad about it. And the corn, again, as I already discussed, I hate peas, they're gross. I need you to be clear. Should I let it simmer until like the green onions wilt? Should I let it simmer until the cheese is melted? Like I lean towards letting it simmer until the cheese is melted because like while I make the, how long does it, I don't know how long it takes to make a biscuit. But I feel like if I, you know what? This is coming off the stove right now. Forget it. Nope, 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 I don't. I'm gonna burn something. Like this already smells delicious. It has a chance to actually be delicious. And I'm not letting your little like unclear raggedy instructions. Okay, maybe they're not raggedy. That's unfair. But they are unclear. This will be fun because I forgot that there are biscuits that were part of this recipe, but hey, biscuits. So a friend of mine showed this to me one time of like, instead of cracking an egg against like something and then like makes a mess, like you can just like use like something like a fork or a knife or something, crack it that way. And then that way it doesn't like make a mess on your counter. And it's also a little bit easier to catch the egg particles. Honestly, I don't know how much time it's gonna take for us to get to this egg. I'm gonna put the egg in the fridge because hopefully we'll get to it in like 2 minutes, but if it takes like 10, I don't want myself to get salmonella. 14 tablespoons of butter. And it says cold and cubed, so it's already cold, so I just cut it into cubes. Oh, fun. Why can't I just like melt the butter? Why? I have all these questions. Now mind you, this is probably more about me and my own skill and has like nothing to do with the author of this recipe. But again, it's called Busy Girl Likes to Eat. And one thing we need to prove is that, hey, can a regular old person with no assistance and no experience making this recipe do it? So, you know, I get to ask questions. Baking powder. We needed 2 teaspoons of baking powder. I need my teaspoon. Now, mind you guys, well, we've been here for what, like 10 minutes or so? If we left those green cooking, it would just smell like burning in here. It would smell like burning. So this is why I need people to be more specific. Now, what I choose to settle on was until the cheese melted. I feel confident about that. Also because this thing is allegedly supposed to go in the stove. And again, this is why I don't preheat my oven when it's step 1, because you're supposed to preheat your oven, make all of that stuff, then make the biscuits. Like, you know how hot it would be in here and such a waste of electricity? We're not doing all that. Add the butter and using a food processor. If you're gonna need me to use a food processor, how about somewhere you say equipment needed, food processor? And no, I don't want to hear it. Don't at me. And again, I'm just trying to cook the food. Okay, I have a food processor, but like it's a tiny one. Okay. Here's the problem, guys. Did we mention that Busy Girl is single and lives alone? And so a lot of my life is designed around that. I have appliances that are just my size. So the recommendation here that I use a food processor is complicated because here's the problem. This is my food processor and it's great for me. This is like about 2 cups. Let's try a potato masher because it's kind of the same thing. Isn't it like basically a pastry cutter? I'm gonna have to use my hands. Like, see all this? Like, and now I'm thinking like even if I had used the food processor, like wouldn't it have still gotten like all goopy? Like it was still, everything would have been like, I'm wasting butter. I'm wasting precious butter. But given that there's 14 tablespoons of butter, I think we have some butter to lose. All right, I don't know if this is oatmeal consistency because oatmeal has oats and it's like kind of like textured and this is just butter and flour. This is my fault. The next instruction is fold in the remaining handful of scallions. It's in there. That's where it stays. We're adding in the buttermilk. Just 3 tablespoons. This looks a little dry. I kind of, see, looks dry. I kind of want to put like a teaspoon of like water in there. No, that feels better to me. That feels right. Yeah, all right. Now it doesn't look like super, it doesn't look super milky now, but it looks a little more dough and like now there's less, yeah. So don't be afraid to add moisture. It wants me to work onto a floured surface, pat out 1/2 inch thick, and then re-rolling scraps. So here's the thing, guys. How about I don't do that? I could go through the trouble of like rolling pin, blah, 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 blah. But, or, I'm a biscuit. You're a biscuit. Yes, this is what we're gonna do, friends, because it makes life easy. As I told you, we're doing this the busy girl way, okay? Busy girl way is we're not pulling out a thing and getting more flour everywhere, probably like a whole bunch of flour on the floor. Pour green mixture into an oven, no, because, guys, wait a minute. This is what it said. Let's be clear what it said. Let it simmer, stirring occasionally while you make the biscuits. It would be so burned right now, especially because there's like cheese in there, cheese burns, it's gross. It would Okay, so just reheating this because it got a little bit congealed because it was like hanging out here on the corner, you know, not overcooking while we were making the biscuits. So I'm not gonna heat this completely. I just want it to not be congealed anymore. Okay, hold on, maybe this will work. It is all kind of hanging out on the side, so that's because it's a little thick. No, wait, it's gonna work. Yeah. All right, so we're gonna top it with the biscuits. There's biscuit on top. There's biscuit on top. So what this is asking me to do is to brush the beaten egg on top of the biscuits. Which means that they probably want me to have a pastry brush. It's kind of a brush, you know, kind of. Let's see. Brushy, brushy. Yeah, it's kind of a brush. You know what I do appreciate about this recipe is that it says brush the egg on top of the biscuits. I appreciate that because the first time I saw egg wash in a recipe, I was like, what the hell is egg wash? And I had to go to my homegirl Google 24/7, 365. She is there for me to ask her what the hell is egg wash, and egg wash was just like scramble an egg, brush on top of something. So recipe, thank you for that. You know the rest of you has given me some trouble. All right, so here we go, guys. This is our big green cobbler. We're gonna put it in the stove for 25 minutes and see how close we can get to the picture and if it's actually delicious. Fingers crossed. This is begin checking for doneness at 25 minutes. Let's see. Now it doesn't actually indicate how to check for doneness, so I'm just gonna treat this like a cake and like throw like a knife in there and see if there's anything happening. Whoa, hey, I think we're done. Let's just see old grandma's way of testing is like sticking a knife in there and see if it comes out clean. It's mostly clean. It's definitely not goopy. So I think these are good to go. If you can hear, it's sizzling. So we're gonna give this a second and then we're gonna do a solid taste test because it is Busy Girl Likes to Eat after all. We're gonna eat. So let's give it a minute, cool it off, and check in with you in a moment. All right, so let's cut a little piece. Maybe it should have said, but we're already in this, guys. We're already all in. All right. Admittedly, it doesn't look as pretty on the plate as it did in the dish. Hopefully, I think it's cool enough for me not to burn myself. If not, they'll be screaming. It's all good. Definitely like better with the biscuit, because what isn't better with the biscuit? But you know what? This here, it's flavor approved. It did get made. Is it Busy Girl approved? It would give it a Busy Girl C. Yes, you can make it in a department, but there are some places in those directions that are gonna give you some trouble. I personally don't like peas. So put in the corn, and I actually think the corn was a little better choice than the peas. Peas always get like a little mushy. That's why I don't like them. So the corn gives it like a little bit more firmness because you've got like that soft spinach, that soft leek. So you get a little bit more firmness, and also the corn introduces like a little bit of sweet, which really like offsets some of the flavor of that leek. So that's pretty awesome. You can check out the recipe in the link below. Thank you so much for joining, and we'll see you next time.